Hello and welcome to this edition of Your Holistic Earth podcast. My name is Kimberly Carson-Richardson and I'm your host for this episode. I'm so excited today. We have Zandra Bell here. She's going to drop some brilliance on you. First, let me tell you about Your Holistic Earth. Your Holistic Earth is the bridge that connects you to local and national experts in the field of holistic medicine, wellness, business. They have got you covered. On each episode, we bring you experts that are going to help you be healthier and have an increased sense of well-being. And for those of you that are entrepreneurs, it's going to help you grow your business too. So guys, I'm so excited. On this episode, we have Zandra Bell as a creative marketing innovator and promotional wordsmith. Zandra helps business professionals like you convey your message in a succinct, compelling way that gets potential clients coming your way. As a corporate motivational humorist and keynote speaker, this multiple award-winning entrepreneur uses words to create inspirational hilarity. I can attest to that, customized to her clients' workplace objectives. Performed in the guise of Zandra's comedic alter ego, Shirley Best. This is clean, appropriate humor that's designed to unite and empower staff while raising morale and productivity so you can laugh your way to the bank. Written or spoken, the right words can make you more money. I love everything about that intro. Welcome to the podcast, Zandra.
Thank you very, very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
I'm so excited. So I have seen you live, and I agree when it talks about like that you are funny and hilarious, and you're such a phenomenal speaker. And so I'm excited to have you here today and to talk about how you help people. So that's going to be my very first question. I love to just dig in. Is tell me more about how you help people, and what do you use to do that with sharing your brilliance with the world, Zandra?
It's interesting because, of course, having that dichotomy of Zandra and Shirley, I can boil it down to a simple sentence. I use word power to help people make more money. Now, on one side, when you're thinking in terms of my corporate humor and Shirley Best, a lot of people have seen Shirley perhaps at public events, but that's the tip of the iceberg. The vast majority of the work I do is behind the scenes at corporate conferences, situations like that, where humor is a tremendous tool to unite and empower employees, to get them laughing at the negative, because I customize. So I have already spoken in advance to people who represent my audience. So I know where their pain points are, and I target them so that it's, in essence, we need to hit them where they live before we move them to where we want them to go, higher up and rising above it all and laughing their heads off. So, obviously that's going to raise morale and productivity and make the company in the end more money. So that's one aspect. And then on the other side, interestingly enough, this kind of developed along the way. I've been doing Shirley Best for quite some time and spoke as myself, but the whole marketing side of things, like the out of the box marketing ideas, the whole done for you piece where I actually use my wordsmithing talents to create everything from bios to presentations that pay for women entrepreneurs predominantly is who I'm targeting. That there's a whole, that's hours of talk right there, because words are just so amazing in terms of how they can essentially, they can steer the mind, because they hit it, the heart. Deanne, your holistic earth goddess, is all about doing business from the heart. And again, that I totally agree with that on one, and using words when you can target emotion and really get people to it's like the Pied Piper will say, follow me. And this works very well in marketing. So that's, obviously when you can get your message out there in the right way that gets clients going, I want that, then you're going to make more money in that sense as well. So that's the long explanation for that small little sentence.
Love it so much. Tell me, let's dig in. I love this concept of wordsmithing, because I've never heard it before. So is this something that came to you out of your brilliant mind that you just created? Tell me more about that. And what would that process be like if you were working with someone to help them craft these bios and elevator pitches and stuff like that?
Uh-huh. Well, it's a very good question because people will say to me, wordsmithing, like, isn't it just copywriting? Absolutely not, because you can copyright. Anybody can that went to school can put words together and create something that's comprehensible. But wordsmithing is deliberately choosing certain words and putting them together in a specific way to accomplish a goal. So, for instance, if you are talking, just off the top of my head, springs to mind since I was mentioning I have my event tomorrow, success soirees, and I have to restrain myself from going register for the event because we register for school or we register for the army. But using a term like join us, it evokes that team, that family, that tribe. There's an inherent desire in humans to want to belong and be part of something. So join us is much more compelling. You see what I mean? So
Mhm.
you maximize that on a larger scale in terms of what words you're choosing and how you're putting them together in, say, if you've got a lot of space, you're doing a presentation, it even comes down to what you'll put first. Many people start out with, "Hi, isn't it nice? We finally got good weather and it's spring and thank you so and so for having me and thank you." 5 minutes wasted on thanking people, which is not wrong, but everyone is texting. People are like, nice, yeah, what's going on in my business? Whereas if you start with something, again, off the top of my head, I might start with, do you know studies show that the human attention span is now less than that of a goldfish? And people are like, whoa, it's really gotten bad. And obviously that statement would suit your purpose. Like I would go on to explain, so this is why in marketing we have to do wordsmithing.
So true. So true. And I talk about that all the time. I love it as a speaker when the person ahead of me or right after me gets up and talks about how amazing I was for the first 5 minutes of their talk. I'm like, thank you.
Really.
You're taking away 5 minutes of your talk and putting all the focus on me. That's brilliant, right? But something that I do not do because you're right. Like those minutes are precious. So that is, guys, that is a great nugget. That is a huge nugget that Zandra has just given you. Write that down. Actually, two you just did. One I'm going to write down for myself. Stop saying register. You were so right. I never thought about that. And I use that word all the time. So I'm going to stop doing that for So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And keep booking that person that's going to give 5 minutes of your time praising you. That's another nugget. Make sure that person goes in front of you.
Yeah, always love it. So good. Okay, so now what I would love to know, I love this question, is what would you say, and you kind of already touched on it a little bit, but what would you say are some misconceptions that people might have about what you do?
Well, one that just jumps to mind is the idea that when I say I'm going to do that done for you piece, as I mentioned, where I actually create their wordsmithing, they think that it's going to be my voice and not theirs. And, as a marketing person, I hasten to go, no. In fact, it cannot be. As much as I, might have this ego, yeah, it's all about me. No, even if I thought that way, it has to be authentic. It has to come from their hearts. I'm always telling them to plumb the depths, give me the raw material, and I'll sculpt it into shape. I'll put it in there, but it's your, ideas, your dream, your goals, your concept. So
Love it.
that's one off the
Yeah,
top of my
that's one.
head.
The other one you totally touched on was that what you do is different than copywriting, which I love that because I think, yeah, like a lot of people, and I'm here to say that copywriting is not easy. Like creating any of your own messaging is difficult when you're on the inside looking in. It's hard to see your own stuff. So I
Yeah.
think that what you do is so important for entrepreneurs.
The whole marketing side of the business is based on we can't see our business. I mean, and I'm the same way. It's just impossible. There's so much that someone with an objective perspective can look in and say, Do you realize that you never mentioned this at all and it's quite key? And I got into this through, my humor, actually. I remember working for HBC and HSBC, that's what they go by, right? Like HB, the bank, Hong Kong
Right.
Bank of
Yeah.
Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they were telling me that one of their pain points was that they were perceived as only for Asian people, the name, right? And so when I was observing the, you know, downstairs, the customer service area, I noticed that they had a sign saying that they served people and they had about 27 different languages, but not English.
Oh.
And so I pointed that out and they were like, whoa. I said, that might help. The English people might be glad that they can be served as well. But see, this is just an example that we can't see the forest for the trees, shall we
Right.
say.
Yeah.
And we don't know what we're not, putting out there until somebody who's just got that. I tend to be labeled as a creative out of the box person. And I just have that perspective on things.
I think that's important, though. That's really important. So tell me, because in the information you'd submitted, you said a little something about like elevator pitches. So
Oh, yeah.
let's drop some nuggets on that. Tell me, what do you think most people get wrong when
Well,
they're
they panic. So I think that whatever you do, there's two components to it. So I call it above ground and below ground, meaning the below ground is your mindset, your attitude, your, as women, we've been socialized that somehow we're supposed to be in the, back in the corner, we're less than. How dare we, think that we can do this, that, or the other thing. So we've got that in us. So first of all, when you're doing an elevator pitch, and I've written things like, say the big ending is, and then we'll stand in our own power, and it's delivered, and then we'll stand in our own power. It doesn't come off. So you really have to commit. Like, this is your chance. Say you're in the middle of a networking meeting or even at a social gathering, wherever, because networking happens everywhere. But when you are going to go for it, don't go for it halfway. I've another funny thing is I've often been in a situation where I'm so proud so and so is going to stand up and use their new elevator pitch, and they don't. So I of course think, well, gee, did they not like it and they were just being nice to me? So I'll check it out later, and we can tweak it. Like, this is yours. It has to be something you're comfortable with. But what'll happen is, no, Sandra, no, it's great, it's great. But don't you think that it makes me sound good? Well, do you want me to change it to, hi, I'm Cynthia, I'm mediocre, and you can book me if you really feel like it? This is what I mean. The below ground has to be there to make it work. So then from the above ground, where they go wrong, which is of course the action, what they actually do, is they'll limit themselves to just one little title, like, hi, I'm a business coach. Well, join the crowd, or you name it, a mortgage broker, a financial advisor, a realtor, or whatever. That's not all you are. And we run the danger that, like, in a situation, whether we're standing up and announcing it as a whole group gets 30 seconds, or whether we're in a conversation, hi, I'm a Reiki practitioner. I sadly always pick on Reiki, but I hasten to say Reiki is really good. I don't pick on it negatively. I pick on it because that scenario, hi, I'm a Reiki practitioner, people are like, okay, I know I should know this, but I don't, and I don't want to look dumb. And so, oh, that's nice. And there's the end of the conversation. What we should be doing is figuring out our overall why, like, what, just like you asked me, how do you help people? Well, again, that does not limit itself to a title. Really, I mean, it's the broad perspective. Why are you doing your job? What's in it for them is more where we should go for. And of course it has to be succinct, especially if you only have 30 seconds or a minute. but you need to think at that level. So the Reiki person would be talking more about, what's in it for them could be, well, basically, since Reiki is about energy and releasing the energy flow and the blocks, then they could have everything they want to once their energy's flowing, right? So, like I want it all and I want it delivered, and Reiki gives that to you, that kind of thing, like that's would be far more appealing and would definitely get people going, tell me more. Wow, I didn't know about that. So that's it, I guess, and the two main things that I find.
Yeah. And you're, I totally agree. There's so many nuggets you're dropping here for us, Andrew. Okay. And you're so right. That's why when I go to networking events, like I'll say, like, tell me why you love to help people, because everyone, it doesn't matter what their title is, they do something where they want to help someone. Because if you say, tell me about what you do, or they just give you that I'm a this, I'm a that. And I learned that lesson really hard. I remember when I first started my first business, I introduced myself as a life coach, and it was a guy, and he's like, is that like a soccer coach? And I was like, okay, maybe that's not my lead in. Right? Maybe I want to think about this a little bit more. So that's such a great tip. I love it. I want like all the entrepreneurs in the world over to not introduce themselves by their title.
Well, business coach is a great example, or life coach, because, again, a perfectly respectable and valuable profession. But, there are so many different people, like different, and each one has a different reason they're doing it. When I was doing a presentation one time and I was talking about this, a lady came up to me after, and she was all excited because she had gotten it. And she said that, she was an older lady and had a lot of experience in business, and so her I guess her thing was that if you work with her, you get to where you want to go faster because of her experience and training in that. So she said, I'm not a business coach anymore, I'm a business accelerator. Ooh. And I went, bingo. Because think about it. Door one is a business coach. Door two is a business accelerator. Where are you going to put your money? Mm-hmm. Right there. That's a perfect example.
Love that so much. Mm-hmm. So good. Okay, we're having a good time. So the next question I would love to ask you is, what is an obstacle that you've overcome in your life that helps you be better at what you do now and how you help people?
Okay, well, several obstacles, having had a interesting life. I guess what springs to mind is probably the biggest catalyst in my life was at the time I was only doing my corporate humor. I had not branched out yet into the marketing and wordsmithing, etc. My father, my mom passed away quite suddenly. I was actually in Calgary about to go on stage and got a call that she was in the hospital. And by the time I was finished my presentation, she had left us. But that sort of, was a whole string of events. My father, of course, needed help, and I had to get back to, get to the funeral. And then he found out he had cancer, and the whole lots came together that I became the caregiver. So this entailed going back and forth across the country. He's in Ontario. I predominantly work in Western Canada at the time. And he didn't want me going into the States like I was going all over. I had a thriving business career. And I foolishly thought, well, I'm at the top of my game. I can take care of him and come back. No, it doesn't work that way. It's out of sight, out of mind. So actually the silver lining and every negative thing is, there, what's the saying? Life happens for you, not to you. Like, don't think victim, because at the time, once my father had passed away and I was resuming life again as a speaker, it was much more difficult. The economy had tanked. But in the meantime, I had sort of started nurturing this other side to my business, which then grew and became what it is today. And now I would say they're about, 50-50. And so out of what would be perceived as negative came something extremely positive, if you ask me.
I love that. And it's true. And I think that for those of you that are watching that are entrepreneurs, that's an important lesson, because business doesn't always go the way you think it's going to go. We have the best laid plans, and it's about how you look at it. Is it an opportunity for growth instead of looking at it as something really bad or negative happening? So that's a great lesson. So, okay, Zandra, as we kind of start to wrap it up and take it home, I would love to just give you the opportunity for those that are watching. If there's one thing that they take away, what do you want them to know? What do they need to know?
Well, again, I think I go to that below ground again. One of the, I guess, my why, my overriding passion is women's empowerment. And I know that sounds cliche, but I really, the reason I got into this is, again, complicated, but it has to do with my father and he was doing this out of love, but one of his famous statements that I use in my presentations when I had, just started to be an entrepreneur, and I was all starry-eyed, and I'd written out my goals for the coming year, and I was really trying hard to impress him, being a daddy's girl. And I give him all my, goals, and I feel really good. And he says, "You know what your problem is, Zandra? You have all these hopes and dreams. The sooner you realize you're never going to be anything other than you are now, the happier you'll be." So my feeling in working with women entrepreneurs is we've all got that message in some way, shape, or form, whether it's from a father or a boyfriend or a husband, and I mean, it could be mothers. I mean, I'm not just trying to pick on the men, but somewhere along the line, we've been taught that we're not meant to achieve, or we're less than. And I mean, tears come to my eyes. I just want to stamp that out, because each and every woman that I work with are just like blossoms of just wonderful potential and incredible talent and energy. And oh God, I wish I could see themselves through my eyes. And that would be the lesson I would leave you with. Go look at yourself in the mirror. Let the imperfections fall away, like, oh, that tooth is crooked. No, that doesn't matter. See yourself for who you are. If we could, I always think we just use this tip of the iceberg in terms of our power. Imagine if we could take all the power that we are and put that out in the world. Oh, wow, we would have this earth in an entirely different state than it is right now, I'll tell you.
Oh, love that. That was so powerful. Thank you. What a beautiful way for us to start wrapping up the podcast. I'm all goosey. Thank you so much, Zandra. I love that, and I agree. So we'll drop all of Zandra's information in the show notes, but for those of you that they don't like to read, Zandra, what's the best way for people to connect with you?
Well, my email is very easy to remember. It's Zandra, my name, Zandra, at Zandra Bell, at BELL.com.
Beautiful. So guys, you can go there, check her out. We'll drop all the information of how you can connect with Zandra further in the show notes. Thank you, Zandra, so much for being our guest in this episode. I so appreciate you. This one was just full of nuggets of gold, you guys. Like, go back and watch this again and make sure you have your pen.
Thank you,
Zandra, thank you again. Guys, make sure you go catch the next episode. I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.